you a bit of a quick intro to PracticeHub and what it does. It's a cloud-based practice management system. So it's all accessed via browser. It's built specifically for chiropractic clinics, although other clinics that aren't chiropractic do use it. We have multiple modalities that use PracticeHub, but it is built for the chiropractic business model in terms of higher volume memberships and that kind of thing. One of the benefits of a cloud-based system is that we deal with all the updates, the improvements, the backup, security, reliability. So it gives you complete peace of mind that you log on, you use it, and you don't have to worry about anything else. The product is also based on real life experience of a chiropractic clinic as well. So from the design perspective, and also our support staff have used it in clinics before as well. So it gives them a little bit of context when they're supporting users, in regards to questions that we get, which is quite cool. So let's get started. So I can see that everyone can see my screen. So this is the main calendar view. When you log into PracticeHub, this is what you'll see. This is where the receptionist and CA, this is where they do all their daily tasks, making appointments, taking payments, doing all that kind of thing. I'll just touch on a couple of main points about it. You'll see here I've got a 3-person setup, Nathan, Steve, and Glenn. We do have other options for open plan clinics. So this setup here, we have multiple columns, but most people use this setup here with the multiple practitioners, but it's entirely up to you how you decide to use it, but we give you the flexibility depending on the type of practice that you run. On the left-hand side, you've got just your standard navigations. In the center here, we've got the patient flow tracker, which I'll show you how that works. And then on the right-hand side here, we've got the calendar. So you can see it's just pretty standard calendar. Everything is completely customizable and flexible in terms of slot intervals, unique to even each individual practitioner, colors of the appointment types, durations, all of that kind of thing. I'm just going to give you an example of this patient flow tracker here. So what we use this patient flow tracker is, especially for multiple practitioner clinics, it allows you to track where patients are in the clinic at any given point and be able to process their appointments without having to refer back to the calendar. So if I use Han Solo here as an example, and I mark Han as arrived, you'll see he goes over into this little section over here with his photo, and I know that he's arrived, and he arrived less than a minute ago. So the next time a patient comes in, so we use Darth Vader. So I sign him in, and you'll see he goes underneath Han Solo because he's arrived afterwards. So the person that's been waiting the longest will sit at the top there. I can then move them into with a practitioner, either just say they're with a practitioner or actually choose a specific resource that you can set up. So if you're a closed room practice, you can set up rooms. If you're an open plan practice, you can set up bays or benches or whatever you prefer. What this does is it alerts the practitioner that that patient is going into that room or has gone into that room. So from the practitioner side, they'll be able to see, okay, they've arrived, great, and now they've actually been moved in there. So I'm going to move Han to room A, and you'll see now he moves into that section there. What's good about this is you don't need to use it, but if you do, you can go to another date, and at any point, you can click on a patient and bring up their file and actually process their appointment. So it just gives you that flexibility for speed and efficiency. So I'll just give you a quick overview of making a new patient appointment and booking their schedule and doing a prepay package, just pretty standard operation. So let's make an appointment for 8 o'clock this evening. We're going to make it for a new patient. So we choose a first name and a last name. Let's just say it's Monday night test. Okay. And then you can put all this information in if you choose to. You can search for address by postcode if you're in the UK, and it'll choose a new patient appointment type by default because it knows that you're making a new patient appointment. Put in an appointment note if you want. So wants blue M&Ms on arrival, and then if you do use our Stripe integration, you can actually take a card payment at the time of the booking as well, but we don't need to do that today. So you'll see now I've made that appointment down the bottom here. And if I hover over that, it gives me information about that appointment and the patient as well. So you'll notice that when I hover over any of the appointments, it'll tell me information about it. What's useful about that is when you start using prepaid packages and memberships and that kind of thing, it does give you that information at a glance, how many visits they've got left, how much balance they've got left on those packages and memberships. So if I use this as an example, we're going to book their schedule. So we'll book it in with Nathan. So we'll look at Nathan for a week view, and we'll start booking some appointments. So this is just a point and click. So let's say they've come out and you need to book them 12 appointments. You can do that very, very simply just by doing this point and click operation here. The other way that you can do it is repeats. So I can say, I want 11 o'clock for the next 6 weeks. And then I press OK. And then you'll see those appointments are made on the left-hand side over there. At any point, if there is a conflict, it will alert you, and you can go to that day and make the appointment manually. The good thing about this is I can then send the appointment schedule to the patient directly by clicking send via email. That patient doesn't have an email address on file, so that hasn't gone through. But when you click send via email, it'll send them a PDF of their care schedule, and they can also put that straight into their calendar as well. So it's quite an easy, quick way of being able to just send them their appointments that they've just made. So we'll just go back to finish, and it goes back to our processing window. So this is where you take the payment and create the invoice. So here it says consultation exam, £50, credit debit card 50. Great, if that's what I want to do. If I want to sell a prepaid package, I just click on the drop down here and choose from the list of packages that I have set up. So I can choose Care Plan 12, which is £396 for 12 visits, or Care Plan 24, which is £720 for 24 visits. I can edit these as well. I can set these care plans up as I like. These are just 2 example plans that I got. So on this occasion, I'm going to do Care Plan 24, 724, 24 visits. So it fills everything out automatically. It knows it's going to be £30 a visit and £720 for on payment. So I click process, and then you'll see now on today, if we go to the today, that's got a line through, which means they're a processed visit. And if I hover over it, will tell me that they're on Care Plan 24 with 23 out of 24 visits left and a global balance of £690. Underneath that, you'll see a little blue tag which says cool little guy. What that is a patient tag. And so I've set up that package to apply a tag to the patient automatically when they purchase it. The great thing about tags is you can add as many tags as you like to a patient. So I can add these. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to segment your patient database by these tags, and you can search by these tags. So they're quite useful. People use them for things like pregnancy, administrative things, what kind of care plan they're on, if they're on 3 times a week, that kind of thing. So you can just see that at a glance just by hovering over the patient appointment or going into the patient file. So they're quite useful. So that's it in terms of making an appointment. Very, very simple. All the other standard operations are here. A lot of what the design is based on efficiency and being able to access information very, very quickly without having to go to multiple pages, that kind of thing. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a online booking procedure so you can see the potential automation from a patient and also from the business side of things. What can happen is a patient can book in online, they can pay online, they can fill in their custom intake form online. So by the time they come into the clinic, they've already paid, they've already done the intake, and it's literally a case of them going into the room to see the practitioner. So I'll just use the online booking page, which is here. It's just a sample setup that I've used. So I've set a new patient appointment at £80 and then an adjustment at £40. You can charge each appointment on a per appointment basis. So if you decide that you don't want adjustments to be charged and just new patients, you can do that as well. Or if you prefer not to take payment at the time of booking, that's also an option too. So I'm going to do a new patient appointment, and I can choose the practitioner. So I'm going to choose Steve Waugh, and then I choose an appointment time. So let's choose 2 o'clock on Thursday, and then we put the details in. Continue, and it will ask me for a credit card number. I don't know what the test one is. that's right. This, and then book the appointment. If you don't have payments turned on, it'll just bypass that process, and you'll just be able to book it without the appointment. So here it comes to the confirmation page. I've set up a custom form for new patients, and it tells me on the online booking that I need to fill that in. So I can either fill that in there and then, or if you've set it up in a certain way, they will also receive a confirmation email with a link in, and also further reminders to fill it in. Usually you'll see about a 95% uptake in patients filling in forms before they come into the clinic. You get the odd people that don't do it. But yeah, the majority of people will. There is an option in PracticeHub that allows you to provide people with a tablet, and then for them to fill it in on the tablet. So if I click fill form here, you'll see it takes me through to the form. So again, this is just a sample form I've set up with a welcome page with different form fields, just the standard form fields. You create your own different questions. You can add drawable images on there. So if I'm the patient, I can say, okay, I've got a sore knee. And I've got pain up on my shoulder. Great. And then I click next. I can then sign that if I need to. And then if you have this turned on, this is for GDPR, it allows you to take permission for marketing purposes. Submit that, and then the patient's information is all updated on their patient file automatically. So that means that your CAs and reception team don't need to input any data because they've already filled that all in. So that's just one less step and one less piece of admin that your team needs to do. So if we go back to the practice calendar now, and we go to Steve, I think we booked in with Steve, didn't we? Yep. So Steve Orr booked in at 2 o'clock on Thursday. And you can see now they've got £80 in credit because they paid that through the payment integration. And if I go into the patient file, you'll see that payment is on there for £80. If the patient doesn't fill in the form, then you can go through to the form portal, give them a tablet and get them to fill it in. So I'd have this open on a tablet and I'd say new patient intake, give that to the patient, they'd fill it in, they'd give it back to you, and then you can just go back form portal ready for the next patient. In terms of memberships, so this is one thing that PracticeHub does, which is quite unique to the platform. Not many, I don't know of any other practice management systems using a membership function. I could be wrong. It is quite a new sort of model and concept, but it's proving to be quite popular with lots of clinics. So what we have is a membership-based system that works with Go Cardless, which is a direct debit provider. So you can set someone up on a membership, have the direct debit set to come out at X number of times, and everything will be reconciled automatically. So once the payment comes out of the patient's bank account, it'll automatically update on PracticeHub. It'll update the membership to say, okay, they've got 3 visits left this month. And that will do that, and it will alert you to any payment failures, et cetera, et cetera. So if we go back to today and we have a look at Monday night test, actually that's a bad idea. Let's use Padme. So I'm going to add Padme to a membership. I choose a start date. So let's say Padme wants to start in May, 1st of May. I choose from a plan. So I've got 2 plans set up. I've got what I call a silver plan, which is £60 for 2 visits per billing cycle. I've also got a fixed term membership, which is £500 over 4 months. So you can, it's very, very flexible in the types of memberships that you can set up. So I'm going to use the silver one just to make it easy. I click add membership. It'll take me through to this section here. So this will be pre-filled in if the patient has those details on file. So I'm just going to use my my personal details here and put in what this is doing is it's setting up a direct debit mandate and a direct debit subscription for Padme. So if we click submit, you'll see now the new customer has been created and that mandate has been correctly stored on the patient's file. So if we go back to PracticeHub now, we go to the billing, you'll see now there's a membership on there. If I go to the forms and files, you'll see that there's a direct debit mandate that gets stored on there automatically. So if we then go to process that patient today, oh, that's Princess Leia Padme. You'll see now that that membership is available for us to use. It is pending because the first payment hasn't been taken out. However, we can use this right now and take the first payment manually. So let's say I am paying the first payment in-house with credit debit card. I can do that. And now if I hover over Padme, it says she's used one of the visits. She's got 1 out of 2 left and she's £30 in credit. So what will happen is on the 1st of May, £60 will come out of Padme's bank account. It'll go onto the patient's file, and then that will say there is 2 out of 2, depending on whether you have rollover turned on or not. So you can roll visits over if they're not used or not, depending on how you operate in your practice. So that's memberships in a nutshell. There is reporting for that. It's basically set and forget. Once they're on, it works all automatically and you don't need to think about it. So from the practitioner side, I've set Darth and Han as arrived patients. If we go to the practitioner side, you'll see over on the left-hand side here, it's a replica of the patient flow tracker on the standard calendar, but this here is what we call the practitioner dashboard, which is where you do your clinical notes. So Darth and Han have arrived, but Han's been taken into room A. So I know he's in room A. I go into room A, bring up his file. This particular file here is specific to a clinical setting. So you'll see it looks slightly different than the standard administrative view, because you want to see more information about their visit info and care plan. You want to see chief complaint, red flags, yellow flags, that kind of thing, you know, visit note history, diagnostic images, etc. So we've got a couple of different options here. We've got 2 defaults that come with PracticeHub. We've got a simple soap note, which is just your standard 4-box soap note, or we have an advanced visit note. So the advanced visit note, this is where it becomes quite specific to chiropractors. On the left-hand side, we've got spinal listings. In the center, we've got our custom codes. And on the right-hand side, we've got our 5 boxes. So these codes here, it's all completely customizable. So you can change the colors, you can change the order, you can change the content of it. It's entirely up to you how you want to set it up. Basically, it allows for very quick note taking. So if I click in subjective, it will just show me notes that codes that I've set up with subjective. So if I click on great, you'll see it said patient said they're feeling great. So you can set up a short name and then a long name that will fill in the box there. Same with objective, action, plan, and note for front desk. What's useful here is if I say in the action, I've done these, and in the plan, I need to be on 2 times a week. But here I say request online review. So this note here is going to go through the front desk. I click save. You'll see over here now, as the on the front desk, you'll see that note comes down here for Han. But also if I miss that, it also shows up here on the the left-hand side here. And then Han has now moved into the awaiting checkout because I know his visit's been completed and he'll be on his way out to me very shortly. I can then process his appointment just by clicking his name. I don't need to go to the calendar to find it. He's going to just have a standard chiropractic visit. He's going to pay as he goes. Again, if I have missed it, there is another option there where that note shows. So I just click process, and then that patient is removed from the awaiting checkout function. So that's a standard kind of note taking for regular visits. You can create your own custom forms, but I would say 95% of chiropractors use this form. Because it is very quick. Then you also have the autofill new option as well, which allows you to pre-fill it from the previous visit. The other thing that we have is custom forms for exams and that sort of thing. So what this allows you to do, especially works well on a tablet, is I've set this form up, similar image there, but with this one here, I've set a kind of a specific clinical exam. I don't know exactly what you're doing here, but I presume you'd make some notation. You can then also use the different kind of fields here if you wish. These images here, you can upload as your own. So if I just do a couple of drawings on there, I don't know what you do, I'm not a chiropractor. Let's just say you can see that it is drawn on. You can also do signatures as well. So if you need to get the patient to do a signature, I click save, and you'll see now that is available there on their file. So that allows you to basically go completely paperless. and have no need for paper, from not just from the regular visits, but also the intakes. So you can use that for consent to treatments. You can use that for progress exams. Then this internally, you can create your own forms here as well. So if I wanted to edit that, I can just click on it and go back and edit it too. On here, we also have what we call an advanced view. So it allows you to see information about the patient before you even go into their file. So it will show you the red, yellow flags, chief complaint, etc. You also have a calendar view too if you need it. So you can see here, if you prefer a calendar view, then you can have that. Most people prefer the list view just because it gives you a bit more info. And you'll see here now that Han is completed with a line through his name and with a little completed status on his appointment. So that's PracticeHub in a nutshell. I'll just touch slightly on some of the reports that we do. We've got quite a handy patient visit and spend report. What this does, it gives you a kind of an overview of new patients and how much they've spent and where they've dropped out of care. So if I use this as an example, it will tell me my PVA, my PVM, my patient spend average instantly for new patients within this date period. Further to that, it will then give me a breakdown of how many visits these new patients have had. So I can see where patients are dropping out of care in the segments, and I can find my areas of weakness and where, which visit numbers I need to be focusing on to improve my retention. So you can see here, I'm a shocking chiropractor because I get hardly any patients to the 3 to 6 visits. Then gives you a breakdown percentage and a patient breakdown as well there as well. So that's one of our unique reports. We also have a new patient referral report, which is similar, but you can do that by referral source. And then just other standard reports that you would expect in a system, including our scheduled reminder report, which allows you to track scheduled reminders that go out for patients as well. Does anybody have any questions? If you've got any questions, you can just drop them in the chat to the right-hand side. Clinico, you are in luck. Clinico is one of the easiest transfers. They have an API key system, which means that you give us the API and we import the data for you. There are limits to what can be imported, such as treatment notes can be a bit tricky depending on how you use them in Clinico. Payments can also be a bit tricky, but everything is possible with Clinico just because of the nature of their system. So it's quite seamless. Do we use WhatsApp Reminder? We don't use WhatsApp Reminder. We use SMS. So WhatsApp haven't made WhatsApp available for businesses from our point of view, as we'd be a third party. We have applied for it, but we're not allowed to at this current moment, but we're keeping an eye on it and hope to introduce it as soon as it's available. Any other questions? Okay, no problems. Yes, we do. We're multi-language. By that, I mean, you can set your default language, which makes things such as the online bookings, invoices, schedule of care, emails, reminders, confirmations, etc. Specific to that language, but you can also change it on a per patient basis. Excuse me. So it's completely flexible depending on if you've got a English and Spanish mix as well. I'll just give you a quick example. So if we use this one here, you can see now the preferred language is, I can choose Spanish. Mine is set to English by default, but you can change it on a per patient basis. So now what will happen is any billing, appointment related information. Anything the patient sees will be translated to Spanish. And then if you have people that want English, you can do that as well. So I'm going to wrap it up there. One more question. Which package do you recommend for a startup? I would recommend, well, it depends what you want to do, but if you're just starting up, I recommend take the cheapest option, use Core. It's £39 per month, and you have access to most of the features I've mentioned here. You won't have access to memberships or those custom intake forms, but you have access to everything else. And then as you grow, if you decide that you want to use those other features, you can always upgrade at a later point. So I'm going to leave that there. If you've got any other questions, you can drop us an email at help@practicehub.io, and we'll do our best to help. If you haven't already, I recommend signing up for a free trial. You have full access to the system. You can have a play around with it at your leisure. And if you have any other questions in terms of migrations, etc., again, like I say, you can just shoot us an email, help@practicehub.io. Thank you for joining. You will receive an email with a confirmation that you did join. In that email, there will be a replay link if you want to show anyone else in your team. Thanks again, and I will speak to you soon.